In this video, I will be going over lesson 26, which is about surface area. Our first question says use the image to answer the question, what is the surface area of the figure in square centimeters? Okay, so again, remember with surface area, we want to find the area of each surface and add them all together. So I can see here that I have two triangles. So I have this one on the corner, and then I also have this one over here. Okay, so my height is 4 centimeters and my base is 3 centimeters. So remember the formula for area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So I'm going to have 1/2 4 times 3. 1/2 4 times 12, sorry, 1/2 times 12, 4 times 3 gives me 12, and that's going to give me 6. But since I have two of those triangles, I need to multiply 6 by 2 to get 12. So the area of my triangle is going to be 12. Then we need to figure out, well, what is going to be the area of my rectangle here? Okay, and I can see my rectangle has a base of 6 centimeters and then it has a height of 5 centimeters. So area is going to be base times height. That is going to be 6 times 5, which is going to give me 30. And if I look, I have a triangle on the front. I also have this triangle down here. Okay, so this is going to be 3 times 6. The area of this triangle on the base is 3 times 6. That's going to give me 18. So I'm just keeping track of all the different ones I'm adding together. I'm adding the 30 and then I'm also adding the 18 from the bottom. And then I have this back triangle here. And so it looks like this height is going to be 4 and this base is going to be 6. So I'm going to do 4 times 6 on this last one to get 24. So I'm going to add 24. So these are the areas that I'm going to be adding together for my surface area. And I'm going to pull over my calculator, type these all in to add them together. So 12 plus 30 plus 18 plus 24. And that's going to give me 84 centimeters squared. So again, remember with surface area, you need to be able to find the area of each surface, add them together. I highly recommend copying down or drawing these images yourself on a piece of paper because it is, I think, 100 times easier to solve these when you can trace out the sides that you're doing, and then that way you kind of know what sides you have left, because it's very easy to forget which sides you found the area for and which sides you haven't when you're not writing them down or you don't have a clear idea of what's happening. I can make mistakes just as easily as you can if I don't write stuff down, so I always like to take advantage and utilize the images. Our next question. So we want to find the surface area of this figure in square inches. Okay, so notice how we are given feet. So that means we have to do some changing. We have to change these two sides that have feet into inches. There are 12 inches in 1 foot, so in order to change these, we are going to multiply them by 12. Okay, so when we do 0.5 times 12, we are going to get 6, which means this bottom side is now 6 inches. And 1.5 times 12 is going to give us 18. You can type this into a calculator. Okay, don't think you can't. You can absolutely type it into a calculator. So when we multiply this, this is going to give us 18 inches. Alright, so if you remember from the quiz video, anytime you have a box, you really only need to find the area of the 3 sides that you see and then multiply each one of those sides by 2, because there's going to be 2 of each side, right? There's going to be a top, and then there's also going to be a bottom that we can't see, but they're going to be the same. There's this front side here, and then there's going to be another front side back here that we can't see, but those are going to be the same, and same thing with this side up here. Okay, there's going to be another side on the back that's going to be the same that we just can't see because it's a 3D figure. So I'm going to find the area of my 3 surfaces, multiply each of those by 2, and then add them all together. So let's start with the top. Okay, on this top here, I know this is going to be 18 and this is going to be 6. And I know that because this bottom side here is 18, which means this top side is going to be 18. If I look over here, this bottom side for the 6, this top side is also going to be 6. So I'm going to have 6 times 18 trackpad went away. Give me a second. Okay, so I'm going to do 6 times 18. And 6 times 18, we can type that into a calculator. And I get 108. Don't forget we need to multiply that by 2 to get 216. Okay, let's do our next side. Let's do this front side here. And I have 4 times 6, right? My length is 4 with the 6. It's going to give me 24. Multiply that by 2 to give me 48. And then let's do the front side. So it's going to be this right here. So this bottom side I know is 18. This side over here, if I look over here, this side is 4, which means this side is also going to be 4. So I'm going to have 18 times 4. Again, we can pull back our calculator to help us out. So I'm going to do 18 times 4, and that's going to give me 72. Multiply that by 2, and that's going to give me 144. Okay. Last step is going to be taking those 3 different surface areas that we have and multiplying them together, which is going to give me 216 plus 48 plus 144. Sorry, add them together. And again, don't forget that we're multiplying them by 2 because there are 2 of each of these sides. Okay, so anytime you have a box, find the area of the 3 sides you can find and then multiply each side by 2. Let's add those together in our calculator. 216 plus 48 plus 144 is going to give me 408. So surface area of this rectangular prism is going to give me 408 inches squared. Okay. Next, we're going to start finding the surface area of composite figures. Okay, and surface area of composite figures is a little bit different because you kind of have to think, well, I can't just find the area of like the bottom one and then add it to the area of the top one, because remember, I only want to know the surface area. So if I look at this like L shape here, right, there's this little space where this box is sitting on top of this box. That doesn't count. Okay, so just make sure that you're thinking about the surfaces and what you can actually see and not where the 2 figures are touching. Okay, that's, if you find it that way, you have to make sure you subtract it. I think it's a bit easier to just do each surface on its own and then do it that way. Okay, alright, let's start with this top one here, this little tiny sliver up here. So I know my side is going to be 4. If I look down here, this is 20, which means this is 20, which means this is 20, which means this top is 20. So I'm going to do 4 times 20. That's going to give me 80. Okay. Let's do this big front one here. This is going to be 8 times 20. 8 times 20 is going to give me 160. Then let's do this next one. Now this next one is a little bit different because notice how I don't know what this side length is here. I know that this bottom right here is 14, and I know that this top part here is 4. So to figure out what this is, I need to take 14 and subtract it from 4. Okay, and I'm doing that because this right here, this length, this is 4 centimeters, and I know that this whole length down here is going to be 14. So if I do 14 and I subtract it from the 4, that is going to give me 10. Okay, so I'm going to be doing 10 times 20. That's going to give me 200. Notice how I'm drawing on the figure with different colors so I can keep track of what sides I've done. This is why I think actually copying down these pictures as best you can on a piece of paper and then drawing each side out is going to help you tremendously when doing these. Alright, let's do that very bottom sliver, this down here. So I have 20 and 2. So I have 20 times 2, that's going to give me 40. Alright, now let's start doing the Let's do the side here. So I have two different ways I can do this side. I think that I'm going to kind of, let's see, how do I want to do this? I'm going to break it up like this and do this piece down here that I'm outlining in green. So I know this whole bottom piece is going to be 14. And I know that this right here is going to be 2 because I have a 2 right here. So this side right here is also going to be 2. So I have 14 times 2. And that's going to give me 28. Now think about, this is a box, right? So if I were to flip this, like say 180 and look at it from a different angle, I would have that same green tiny box over here. Okay, so I'm going to have that same green tiny box over here. So I'm going to multiply this by 2, and that's going to give me 56. Okay, so that's going to take care of both of those sides. Now let's look at, let's see what color. I guess I'll use black here. Let's look at this side right here. This right here is 8, which means that this is going to be 8. This up here is 4, which means that this is going to be 4. So now I have 8 times 4, and that is going to give me 32. And if I think I'm going to have another one of those same sides over here right above that green rectangle, so I'm going to multiply this by 2, and that is going to give me 64. Alright, so now at this point I only have 2 surfaces left. I have the very back piece of my L, and then I have the very bottom, my base of my L. So, let's see. Let's do the light green. So I'm going to do my base, which is all going to be all this stuff back here. Okay. This top piece up here is going to be 20. And I need to figure out what is this side over here going to be. I know from here to here is 8, and from here to here is 2. So if I do 8 plus 2, that's going to give me 10. So I'm going to have 20 times 10, which is going to be 200. Now to do the base is a bit easier, okay, because I have a 14 and 20, and I know that that's the length of my entire base. So I'm going to do 14 times 20, and that's going to give me 280. Okay. So this one is definitely trickier. The composite figures are definitely harder. But again, I think using different colors, and I know it kind of looks like a mess right now, but while I was doing it, I was able to keep track of all the sides that I was doing. And to me, it helps being able to know what sides I've done and what sides I still need to do. Now the last step is going to be taking all of these different areas that we found and adding them all together. So let's pop these into a calculator and add them all together. So starting from the top, that blue 80, and going down, I have 80 plus 160 plus 200 plus 40 plus 56 plus 64 plus 200 plus 280. And when I add everything together, I get 1080. Whoops. 1080. So that means that my final answer for the surface area is going to be 1080 centimeters squared. So that is the surface area of this figure. And again, feel free to type when you're multiplying these numbers out. Feel free to type this into a calculator to make sure you're not making a mistake with your multiplication. If you accidentally make a mistake when you're multiplying, when you go to your step where you're adding everything together, you're not going to have the right answer, right? Because you made a small mistake with your multiplication. So that final number you get, it's going to affect your final answer. So make sure that if you want to double check, feel free to type them into a calculator. Alright, next, it says Raylan needs to find the surface area of this L-shaped composite figure formed by 2 rectangular prisms, okay? It says that she multiplies 7 by 10 to get the area of one side, okay? So 7 and 10 to get the area of one side, which she gets 70 inches squared, then multiplies the number of sides 8 to get 560 inches squared. Is Raylan's solution correct? Okay, well, right off the bat, I'm gonna say no, because if I look at this figure, I know that there might be 8 sides, but they're not all the same, right? They all have different lengths, not to mention that there's also different units. So no, Raylan did not do this correctly, and she's not every side's going to have the same area, right? I can clearly see that this side here is going to have a smaller area than this side here. So no, not all of the sides have the same area, so multiplying 70 by 8 is incorrect. So no, not all the sides have the same area. Alright, 2 more questions. Jake is wrapping a gift box or a gift in a box with the following dimensions. So it has a length, width, and height of 12, 8, and 4 inches. And then Havana is wrapping a gift box whose dimensions are all twice the length of Jake's. How many times larger is the surface area of Havana's box than Jake's box? Okay. So, first thing we need to do is, I know that I have 2 different boxes. So I'm going to split this in half down here. I'm going to kind of do something like this so we can do our final work. This is going to be for Havana, and this is going to be for Jake. Okay. So I know Jake's widths are right here. Havana's length of her box are all twice the size, so I need to take all these lengths and multiply them by 2. So for Havana, hers are going to be 24, 8, and 16 inches. Okay, all I did is multiply each of these numbers by 2 because they're all twice as long. So if you are only given lengths, there is a way that you can find the surface area kind of quickly when you know that you have a box. Again, this only works for when you have a box. And what you do is you are going to look at the numbers that you're multiplying. Okay, I have a 12, 4, and 8. So I'm going to start multiplying these in pairs going down and then multiplying them by 2. Remember that when you have a box, there's going to be a top and a bottom. That's going to have the same area. There's going to be a left and a right side, same area, and a front and a back with the same area. So again, that's why we're multiplying by 2. So I'm going to start by doing 12 times 4. That's going to give me 24. Nope, that's going to give me 48. This is why you always want to double check with a calculator. I'm going to multiply that by 2, and that's going to give me 96. Okay. Then I'm going to do my next pair. So I did 12 times 4. My next pair is going to be 4 times 8. And that's going to give me 32. I need to multiply that by 2, and that's going to give me 64. And then the last pair of numbers I need to multiply is this 8 times 12 here. So I have 8 times 12. That's going to give me 96. I need to multiply that by 2, and I'm going to type this into a calculator just to double check because I made a mistake like this earlier because my brain did some weird things, and that is going to give me 192. Okay, so notice that I have 3 numbers. Okay, I have 12, 4, and 8. So I did 12 times 4, 4 times 8, 8 times 12. So I'm multiplying each of my 3 numbers by a different number. Okay? That's not itself. So do not do 12 times 12 or 4 times 4 or 8 times 8. You want to make sure the numbers you're multiplying are different. Okay. So the last step for Jake is going to be adding all 3 of these numbers together to get his surface area. So 96 plus 64 plus 192. It's going to give me 352. So surface area for Jake is 352. Now let's do Havana. I'm going to do the same process. So 24 times 8. I'm going to multiply all these at once at the end to save some time. So I did 12 times 8. Now I need to do 8 times 16. And my last pair is going to be 16 and 24. Whatever numbers I get, I know I need to multiply them by 2. So let's see here, 24 times 8. And then I have 8 times 16, 16 times 24. So all three of these numbers I know I need to multiply by 2. So I have 192 times 2, 128 times 2, 384 times 2. So I'm looking at these three answers right here. I need to add these together, and that's going to give me the surface area. So 384 plus 256 plus 768. So I get 1,408. So Havana's box is going to have a surface area of 1,408, I believe is correct. Let me double check. Where'd my calculator go? Here it is. 1,408, perfect. Okay, so to figure out how many times bigger, because that's what this question is asking, how many times larger is the surface area of Havana's box, all we need to do is divide our surface areas. So I'm going to do 1,408 and divide it by 352, and whatever answer we get, that is how many times bigger Havana's box is. So if I have 1,408 and I am dividing that by 352, I get 4. So that means that after all of that work that we just did, our final answer is simply 4. Havana's box is 4 times larger than Jake's. Alright, last question for this lesson. It says Rachel is placing a protective cover on a glass case. The case is a cube and the perimeter of one cube face is 56 inches. How many square inches of the protective covering does she need for her case? So we finally have a cube, and cubes are nice because remember the surface area for each of the 6 faces it's going to be the same. The area for each face will be the same. However, we have to do a little bit of backtracking here because it says that one of the faces of the cubes has a perimeter of 56 inches. So let's draw a cube here. Okay, and I know that remember the perimeter is all 4 sides added together. So I don't know any of these sides, but I do know that they're all the same because it's a cube. So I have 4 x's, and when I add all 4 together, I'm going to get 56. So to figure out what each side is, I need to take 56 and divide it by 4. 56 divided by 4 is going to give me 14. Let's just double check in a calculator before we keep going to make sure. Yes, 14. Okay, perfect. So I know that each side is going to be 14. So to figure out the area, all I need to do is take 14 times 14. So 14 times 14, I get 196. And then since this is a cube, all I need to do is take 196 and multiply it by 6 because each one of these faces is going to have the same area. And there are 6 total. Remember, think of a dice. 196 times 6 is going to give me 1,176. So Rachel needs her protective covering to, she needs to have 1,176 square inches for her case. Alright, that is it for lesson 26. Whoops, I was trying to erase this. There we go. That's it for lesson 26. If you have any other questions, please let me know.